Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. We love to take a really close look at some fascinating research. And today we're going to be talking about something called DexteriSync.
DexteriSync.
It's a device, and it's really more than just a gadget. It allows you to kind of embody the sensation of compromised dexterity.
Yeah.
So it really gets at the heart of, human perception and empathy and all that.
Yeah, it's an interesting opportunity to think about, technology and perception and design and how all of those things come together.
Yeah, and we're looking at a research paper today called DexteriSync, a hand thermal IO exoskeleton for morphing finger dexterity experience.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. It was presented at the 2024 ACM Symposium on User Interface Software and Technology. It's pretty recent stuff.
Yeah, very recent.
Cutting edge. So tell me, what is this DexteriSync?
DexteriSync is a hand exoskeleton. So you can think of it as this kind of structure that goes over your hand.
Yeah.
And it's made with these like silicone-copper tubes and 3D printed parts. And the whole goal of the device is to really precisely change the temperature of your fingers.
Okay, so it's not this big clunky, robot hand
not at all.
thing. It's pretty sleek.
It's lightweight.
Okay.
It's meant to be comfortable for people to wear. And so the magic really happens with these silicone-copper tubes because they're hooked up to this temperature regulation system. And that's what allows the researchers to actually very precisely change the temperature of your fingers.
And so that in turn affects your dexterity, right? Because I know just from personal experience, when my hands are really cold, I can't do anything with them.
That's right.
But explain the mechanism there. How does temperature actually affect our dexterity?
Yeah, so there's a few different things that happen when your fingers get cold. The first is that your blood vessels actually constrict. So you have reduced blood flow to the extremities.
Makes sense.
And that in turn affects how flexible your tendons are. And it also affects your muscles' ability to contract.
Yeah.
So all of those things combined lead to this decrease in dexterity.
Wow. So it's like this cascade of effects all from that one change in temperature.
Exactly.
That's amazing. So DexteriSync is basically taking this natural phenomenon that we all experience and sort of artificially inducing it.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly right. And the research team actually did some really neat studies to actually see, how effective is DexteriSync at changing dexterity?
Okay.
So in one of their studies, they had participants put on the exoskeleton, and then they had them do this modified pegboard test.
A pegboard test?
Yeah.
Kind of like you see in a doctor's office?
Yeah, kind of like a classic pegboard game.
Right.
But in this modified version, they had to do it in a very specific pattern.
Okay.
And so they could really compare how people performed under these different temperature conditions.
So what did they find?
Yeah, so just as you would expect when your fingers are cold, it really decreases your dexterity.
Right.
People were much slower at putting the pegs in the holes. Their movements weren't as precise. But one of the things that they found, which was kind of interesting, is that there seems to be this optimal cooling duration.
Huh.
So if you cool it for about 10 minutes, at first you see this decrease in performance as you would expect.
Right.
But then after about 10 minutes, your body seems to adapt and your dexterity actually improves temporarily.
Oh, wow.
So it's almost like your body is kind of engaging some sort of compensatory mechanism to kind of counteract the cold.
That's so fascinating. It makes you think, how would your own body react if you were in that situation?
Absolutely.
So we've talked about dexterity, but the paper also mentions this thing called the thermal grill illusion.
Yes.
And that seems to be more about sensory perception. So can you explain what that is?
So the thermal grill illusion is this really peculiar phenomenon where when you apply warm and cool stimuli at the same time to the skin, people actually perceive the temperature as being more extreme than it actually is. So they tested this with DexteriSync by actually warming the thumb and cooling the index finger.
Okay.
And then they had people touch water with those fingers, and they consistently overestimated the temperature of the water.
Wow. So DexteriSync is not just affecting how your hands move, but also how they feel.
That's right. It really highlights how temperature can kind of shape our experience of the world in these really unexpected ways.
And so this ability to manipulate both dexterity and sensory perception, I mean, that has some pretty big implications for a lot of different fields, like design, for example.
Yeah.
So the researchers did this really cool exploratory session where they had some design students use DexteriSync, and they were trying to design tools for people with compromised dexterity.
Right. So instead of just kind of watching videos about these challenges, they were able to actually experience it for themselves.
So they were embodying it.
Exactly.
Oh.
So they would put on the exoskeleton and they would try to do things like tie their shoes or manipulate small objects. And then they would use those experiences to actually inform their designs.
And what was the outcome of that?
Yeah.
Did using DexteriSync actually make a difference in their designs?
It did. They found that the designers who used the exoskeleton were much more confident in their designs, and they also had an individual with lived experience of compromised dexterity actually look at the designs, and they preferred the designs that were created with the exoskeleton over the ones that weren't.
That's amazing. I mean, it makes you think, like, how many products and services could be improved if designers had access to this kind of technology.
Exactly.
So it's not just about designing for people with disabilities, it's about designing for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, it really gets at the heart of how do we make things that are accessible and usable for the widest range of people possible.
And it's not just about design either. DexteriSync has this incredible potential for fostering empathy and understanding for people with disabilities.
That's right.
I mean, imagine medical students using DexteriSync to better understand the challenges that their patients with dexterity issues face.
Yeah.
Or family members using it to gain a deeper appreciation for their loved ones' experiences.
Right. I mean, the potential is huge.
So we've covered a lot of ground already, from the mechanics of DexteriSync and how it affects dexterity, to this fascinating thermal grill illusion, and then all the implications for design and empathy. But there's still so much more to explore.
There is.
So in part 2, we're going to delve even deeper into the specific design challenges and opportunities that DexteriSync presents. And we're also going to talk about the broader ethical and societal implications of this really groundbreaking technology.
Sounds good. Let's, dive a little deeper into these design challenges we were talking about before.
Okay.
We've talked about how DexteriSync can really effectively change dexterity and thermal perception.
Right.
But the question is, how do we translate that into practical applications, particularly in design?
Yeah, and it seems like there are two main aspects to think about here.
Okay.
There's the design of the DexteriSync device itself.
Right.
And then there's the designs that it inspires.
Exactly. You've hit the nail on the head there.
So on that first point, I mean, designing a device that's both functional and user-friendly, that's a challenge in itself.
It is. There's so many factors to consider, ergonomics, the materials you use, the weight of the device, all of those things.
Right, because you don't want it to be uncomfortable or cumbersome to wear.
Exactly. Especially if you're going to be using it for a long period of time.
So they went with those silicone-copper tubes for the fingers of the exoskeleton. And I'm assuming that's because copper is a really good conductor of heat.
That's right. It allows for those really rapid temperature changes.
Okay. And the silicone makes it flexible and comfortable.
Exactly.
And then they use 3D printed parts as well to customize the fit.
Right.
Which is interesting, too, because that speaks to how those technologies are becoming increasingly accessible.
It does. The fact that they were able to prototype and refine this device using, relatively readily available tools is pretty amazing.
But the design challenges don't stop there, right? Because DexteriSync is not just a device on its own.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to be a tool for creating other designs.
Exactly. And that raises a whole new set of questions. How do you actually design for compromised dexterity?
Right.
It's something that all of designers think about, but DexteriSync actually offers this really unique solution to that.
Mm-hmm.
It lets you actually experience those limitations firsthand.
So instead of just trying to imagine what it's like to have limited hand function,
right,
you can actually feel it.
You can embody it.
Yeah.
And that's really the power of this idea of embodied design.
Okay.
It's not just about, intellectually understanding a problem.
Right.
It's about actually physically experiencing it.
And the study with the design students is a great example of that, right?
Yeah.
They went from watching videos about dexterity challenges to actually experiencing those challenges through the device.
Right.
And that led to a real difference in their designs.
Yeah. They started thinking about things that they might not have considered before, like the importance of grip size or, where the buttons are placed on a device or, how much force is required to actually operate a device.
So it's really about thinking about all those little details that you might not even notice.
Exactly.
If you've never actually experienced that kind of challenge.
Exactly.
But of course, we've been focusing on the positive implications of this technology. Mm-hmm. But there are also potential drawbacks to consider.
Absolutely. I mean, every powerful technology comes with its own ethical and societal considerations.
Right.
So, one concern is the potential for misuse.
Okay.
Could someone use DexteriSync to actually exploit or manipulate people.
Oh, wow.
Could you imagine a scenario where someone's dexterity is intentionally compromised for some malicious purpose?
Yeah, that's a little scary.
It is.
And I guess there's also the potential for creating a divide between people who have access to this technology and people who don't.
That's right. That's right. We have to be really mindful of these potential risks as we explore the potential of this technology. It's really important to have these conversations and to think critically about how it could be used.
So we need to proceed with caution, but also with excitement.
Exactly.
Because the potential here is really huge.
And it is.
So in our final segment, we're going to look at some of those potential future applications of DexteriSync.
Yes.
And we'll also discuss how this technology could be refined and enhanced to really maximize its impact on design and empathy and our understanding of human perception. We've talked about DexteriSync's mechanics, and how it impacts design and empathy. We've got into that really fascinating thermal grill illusion.
Right.
So now let's look ahead a bit to the future.
Yeah, where could this technology go?
Yeah. What are some potential applications that maybe we haven't even thought of yet?
Well, one area that I think is really ripe for exploration is virtual reality.
Oh, yeah.
You could imagine incorporating DexteriSync into VR experiences to make them even more realistic and immersive.
So not just seeing and hearing the virtual world, but also feeling it.
Exactly. You could actually feel the temperature changes and the changes in dexterity.
So like imagine a VR simulation of deep sea diving.
Exactly.
Where you can feel the cold water and the pressure affecting your hands.
Or even like a surgical training simulation.
Oh, wow.
Where you could actually feel the resistance of tissues as you're manipulating these virtual instruments.
And then, of course, there's gaming.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like a really natural fit.
Absolutely. DexteriSync could add this whole new level of physical feedback to gameplay.
Right. And it's not just about entertainment either.
No.
I mean, you could use it for training purposes.
Oh, absolutely.
Like for musicians or athletes or even surgeons.
Yeah, you could use it to help people develop muscle memory and fine motor skills in a safe and controlled environment.
And what about rehabilitation? I mean, could you use it to help patients regain lost dexterity?
Absolutely. There's so much potential there.
It seems like the possibilities are really endless when you start thinking about how DexteriSync could bridge that gap between the physical and the digital.
It really does.
So we've talked about future applications, but what about the device itself?
Oh.
I mean, are there ways to improve it or refine it?
Yeah, I mean, the researchers themselves acknowledge that, there's always room for improvement.
Sure.
One area that they're really excited about is using more advanced materials.
Okay, so like materials that are even better at conducting heat or insulating.
Exactly. They're looking at things like aerogel or polyamide foam.
Okay.
Which could potentially, make the device even more thermally efficient while still keeping it lightweight and comfortable to wear.
And I guess there's also the issue of portability.
Yeah, right now the system is tethered to this external temperature regulation unit.
Okay.
So they're definitely exploring ways to make it more compact and wireless.
So you could just wear it anywhere and it would seamlessly integrate into your life.
Exactly.
Well, it's definitely exciting to think about how this technology might evolve.
It is.
But, with any powerful tool, we have to make sure that it's used responsibly and ethically.
We have to be mindful of the potential consequences of manipulating our senses in such a profound way.
But if we do it carefully, and with a focus on human well-being, I think this technology could really be a force for good.
I agree.
It could lead to incredible advancements in design and empathy and just our understanding of what it means to be human.
Yeah, this has been a really interesting deep dive.
It has, and I think DexteriSync is a perfect example of how technology can really push the boundaries of human experience.
It really is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
we
want to leave you with a question. How might you use DexteriSync to make a positive impact on the world?
Think about it.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking knowledge.